John Dion Orlando Smith, leader of the National Democratic Party, the residents of the beautiful British Virgin Islands, particularly those in the 1st District, and those persons listen to us by radio, television, and the internet, a pleasant good evening to you. I am very excited to be here in the 1st District, the district that produced the greatest leader in the history of these islands, the late Honorable Lavity Stoutt. A man who was deeply admired by all, and a man that steered this country to prosperity. A man that would have led us out of the quagmire that we found ourselves in today had he been alive. Yes. I would also like to extend my condolences to the Stoutt family for their recent loss. And I trust that the good Lord will continue to comfort them at this time. I would also like to express my hearty congratulations to all those students who will be graduating from the primary, secondary, and tertiary institutions in the territory, and also those who will be returning home from institutions of higher learning abroad. I would also like to send special congratulations to Alaya Leonard from this area. She was at the top of her class in the Seventh-day Adventist school. And she also placed 5th in the territory. I know your parents well, and I know that they're very proud of you, especially your mother. This country that we call home needs its youths. Yes, sir. It needs them to be adequately prepared to take it forward in this relay race of life. It needs them to be fit, mentally, physically, and emotionally ready to run their leg of the race with a burst of energy and ingenuity to keep us in the competition. Yes. It needs them to hand it over to the next generation in a much better state than it has been handed to them. Yes. The thought of our students moving from one positive change in their life to the next is always one that brings a feeling of accomplishment to all of us. Yes, sir. Parents and family members feel proud, and they should, yes, because it is not easy raising children today in these Virgin Islands. However, when we consider particularly the 262 children leaving high school, yes, and the 221 leaving the Lavity Stoutt College, plus those returning from studying abroad in the US and the UK, we must also consider whether our economy in its current state can provide jobs and other opportunities that our young people have worked so hard for. Yes, we have to consider that. Yes, sir. Yes. My friends, whether we have a recession in the world or a recession in the Virgin Islands, that does not change the fact that we'll have students leaving school every year who will be looking for work, yes, in this country. Yes, sir. And these students are not interested in hearing the excuse that things are bad all over the world and there's no work. They're not interested in that. Yes. It is the responsibility of our leaders to exercise diligence, fiscal prudence, creativity, and initiative to keep this country growing so that our students can find jobs or open their own businesses if they choose to do so. It is their job. We should not be accepting any excuses from our leaders. And as many in the Virgin Islands say, talk is cheap, money buy land. We don't want to talk, we want action. We need to let our youths know that we need them, that their country needs them to take up the baton and run their leg of the race with much vigor and enthusiasm. We need them to rise to the occasion, and we will help them. They have to be prepared to receive the baton. Even though, as we can see today, even in our politics, our leaders do not understand the concept of passing the baton to the next generation.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
They want to run the entire relay race, and they don't care if we come in last.
Yes, yes.
They want to run it still.
Yes.
A new NDP government will ensure that we re-establish the National Youth Council.
Yes.
This council will have a regular audience with the government and will advise government on all matters relating to youth development.
Yes.
We need our youths to be involved in the development of the country that they will inherit tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah. It's true.
When I travel the length and breadth of this country, the majority of young people express their dissatisfaction with what they call the system. They say to me, Myron, nobody is checking for us. Sometimes when you go and talk to them, they start looking at you funny. They don't trust us politicians, and I don't blame them.
Yes, sir.
They have been fooled so many times with empty promises around election time.
Yeah.
And after election, they cannot even see the politician who promised them so much for a vote. It's a bad thing. But tonight, I want to say to our young people that the new National Democratic Party, we got the message loud and clear, and we got your back. Getting this country back on track will be the first matter of business for this new government. We recognize that with a strong and buoyant economy, we'll not be able to improve the lives of our citizens.
Yeah.
There is a clear and urgent need for us to address the questions of productivity and growth, particularly in our tourism sector. We need to properly market these islands and improve the product that we offer to our tourists. The performance of our tourist industry affects the construction industry, the agricultural industry, the retail business, and every other business in this country. We must ensure that we keep this industry vibrant so that we can provide jobs for our people, especially those leaving high school and college. We recognize that some of our young people will want to become businessmen and women, but may not have the financial resources or the expertise to start up. The new National Democratic Party will ensure that the National Business Bureau is fully operational, and it will serve as a one-stop shop for new and existing businessmen and women in this country.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We recognize that our people today are not only interested in bouncing a basketball and playing sports. Our young people are not only interested in that.
True.
They want to participate in a meaningful way to the development of this country.
Yes, sir.
And we must ensure that there is a path for them.
Yes.
They want to own their own piece of land where they could build a house and start a family. I will seek to ensure that the NDP sets up a land bank,
Yes.
so that our young people will be able to afford to buy a piece of land in this country.
Yes, sir. Good thing.
The cost of land in this country has skyrocketed over the years. And if we don't do something about it, the young man from Carrot Bay or Apple Bay and the single mother from West End or the Towers will not be able to buy land to put a roof over our head
Yeah, true.
if we continue at this pace.
True.
The present government campaigned heavily in the last election on the promise that they'll provide an affordable housing program to ensure that our young people can own their own homes.
And they give a key. They give you a key.
I think they said it would be a turnkey arrangement.
Right.
You just bring your clothes and you move in. Now it's almost 4 years later, and not even a full coop has been built.
Yes, sir.
No wonder the young people feel the way that they feel. We have a major priority problem in this country. We spend over $5 million and counting on a greenhouse that up to now have not even produced one string bean.
Not one green. Not one green. Not one green.
It is now becoming a house for rats. And we are waiting to see if they will survive during the hurricane season. We spent nearly $2 million on a long, unnecessary wall in Carrot Bay just to give a few persons work to do. We spent over $500,000 to put up street lights at the roundabout, which had to be taken down because it wasn't practical. This was even after citizens and even the own consultant to the project said that it could not work. If this government is serious about providing land and house for first-time house owners, can you imagine how many houses they could have built with all that money?
Yes.
We have a problem in this country, ladies and gentlemen. We have a priority problem. We need all hands on deck to move this country forward, including those youths who are at risk of destructive behavior. They need to understand that this country needs them, and they have their role to play in the overall development of this country.
Yes.
Our leadership cannot ignore the fact that our young men largely make up the prison population. And the same segment, years before ending up at Balsam Gut, were the guys that were hanging around doing nothing. And we ignored their lack of opportunity, I am afraid that we are losing a whole generation of young men, and we cannot afford to let that happen.
No, cannot.
We must take proactive steps to help these youths before they enter into a life of crime. We must develop a systematic way of identifying and monitoring our at-risk youths from as early as pre-primary school so that we can provide the support services to them and their family so that we can foster positive growth from that time. Very often, as parents and leaders in the community, we wait until our youths are on the doorsteps of the court before we seek help for them. But by then, the destructive behavior would have already taken root in them. Our leaders must ensure that the government department, the relevant government department, has all the tools and resources that they need to address this problem. I am calling for a properly funded youth intervention program to be put in place as a matter of urgency so that we can save the lives of these youngsters that are going astray.
Yes.
Confession is good for the soul. And it was good that the government was able to confess that the social services sector is lagging behind. They confess on Sunday. Maybe they went to church first and then they confess after. But it's good for the soul. But what they forgot to confess was the reason why it's lagging behind is because they put the building of retaining walls before the building of the future for our youths. That is why this problem's there. We have to hand this country over to our young people in a better state than it was handed to us by those before us. And from the melee that broke today, we're going to fall short on that. Mark gave you some figures, but I saw part of the thing on Platinum that frightened me. That the government owes 27 million and change to creditors and contractors in this country. That statement sounds bad on its own, but I'm going to add another piece to make it sound worse. As of May 31st, in the government bank book, they only had 25 million and change. You do the maths. If all those creditors were to call for the money now, the government would be dead broke in this country. And we would have nothing to pass on to our youths. That's a problem.
Yes, sir. It's a problem.
That's a problem.
Yeah.
And then, as Mark said, you hear the breaking ground here, the breaking ground there, the breaking ground everywhere. The same person that said we broke turn around and say you're going to build bathrooms in Virgin Gorda. How are you going to build bathrooms without money? Stop playing games with us. Stop playing games with us. Let us get things right. And if you can't do the job, get out the office. We have a team of leaders led by Dr. Smith who can do the job.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Jump before we push you.
Yeah. The people will be. The people.
We are calling on the people of this country to pay close attention to what is happening with this country. And we have to put the politics aside. Because whether you're VIP, NDP, PPP, no P, all of us will suffer in this country if we continue this way. The bank don't want to hear who was VIP or NDP when you got to pay your mortgage. They want the money.
Yes, sir.
And we have got to get this country back on the path of prosperity. And we have a leader, Dr. Smith, who can do that.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
And we have Archie Christian,
Yes, sir.
who can do that. You hear Archie tonight. We have Ronnie W. Skelton, who can do that. And you know, as I said, things are so bad in this country, you have to fix it from the bottom up.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
My name is Myron Walwyn. I'm going to be at the bottom of the ballot paper. So you put your eggs there first, and you work the way up. Thank you for listening, and good evening.